From the CBS Bay Area studios, this is KPIX 5 News.
Well, welcome back. It's just about 6:30. Good morning. I'm Devin Fehely.
And I'm Melissa Caen.
Undocumented immigrants and their advocates are bracing for a wave of immigration enforcement raids promised by President Trump to start tomorrow. Rallies and marches were held at several Bay Area locations yesterday evening. Protesters demanded the closure of detention camps along the U.S.-Mexico border. There are increasing reports of overcrowding at those camps, as well as a lack of proper food and hygiene products and kids being held separately from their parents. One of the largest gatherings was at Oakland's Frank Ogawa Plaza, with hundreds of people sending a message to U.S. Immigrations and Custom Enforcement.
And that's what we want. We want them to stay out of our communities.
Some immigration attorneys say ICE activity has already increased in parts of the Bay Area, with people recently detained in Santa Clara and Contra Costa counties. The nationwide ICE operation is set to begin tomorrow, and it will reportedly target more than 2,000 illegal immigrants who have final deportation orders.
Vice President Mike Pence made a stop at a migrant detention center along the Texas-Mexico border yesterday, and he said he disagreed with Democrats who have said that conditions there are inhumane.
Each and every one of the children, each and every one of the parents that I spoke to told me they were being treated well.
3 Bay Area lawmakers are among 20 congressional Democrats who plan to travel to the border today to view the conditions for themselves. Representative Jackie Speer, Anna Eshoo, and Mike Thompson will tour a detention center and a pair of nonprofit assistance centers in Texas before crossing over the border to Mexico to meet with migrant families. And we'll be keeping a close eye on what develops this weekend, so stay with KPIX 5 and KPIX.com for the latest.
Agreed to a staggering $5 billion settlement with the Federal Trade Commission. It stems from the FTC's year-long investigation into the Menlo Park Company's privacy practices. That probe began last year after the Cambridge Analytica privacy scandal that involved Facebook users' personal data.
There's this perception that the company is not doing enough for people's privacy. And it comes through in so many ways, right? That there's the constant just talk on Capitol Hill and in legislatures around the world.
More regulation. I think that's what's to come out of this, and not just with Facebook. With big technology.
U.S. Senator Ron Wyden, a Democrat from Oregon, says he plans to introduce a strong privacy bill in the coming weeks. Now, Facebook declined to comment on the reports. The settlement would still need to be reviewed by the Justice Department.
A federal judge in San Francisco has denied Monsanto's request for a new trial in a multi-million-dollar lawsuit over its Roundup weed killer. This involves a 70-year-old Santa Rosa man who says Roundup caused his cancer. A jury recently awarded him more than $80 million. But he may not get that full amount because the judge will issue another decision on Monday about whether the damages should be reduced.
An Oakland man is facing child abuse and weapons charges after his 7-year-old son accidentally shot himself in the hand with a gun that investigators say the father never should have had. It happened last month at an East Oakland RV camp. Police say that 39-year-old John Shern initially told conflicting stories about how his son was injured. Shern is a convicted felon on probation and isn't supposed to own a gun. His son is still recovering.
Police in San Jose are investigating a murder mystery that began with a burglary call. Officers were called to a home on Montecito Drive in the city's Evergreen area at around 9:30 yesterday morning.
It's going to be a 2-story home. Subjects are breaking into the back of the residence. RPS watching next door through a window.
Officers later found an elderly man dead inside the home with an apparent head injury. Investigators were on the scene for hours and canvassed the neighborhood for evidence, although so far no arrests and no word on any suspects.
Horse racing is a staple every year at the California State Fair, now underway in Sacramento, but this time around, the sport is under a dark cloud. That's because of the recent spike in horse deaths at the famed Santa Anita racetrack in Los Angeles County. There have been 30 horse deaths at the Arcadia track since late December and 66 dating back to the 2018 season. UC Davis professor Sue Stover says the investigation is still ongoing and researchers can't point to just one reason for the horse deaths.
Most injuries are associated with several different risk factors occurring simultaneously, whether it's State Fair or Santa Anita or Churchill Downs. We're here working for their safety.
In the lab, Stober and her team looked at fractured horse remains from Santa Anita. They also studied the turf from tracks across the state.
This morning, the Contra Costa County Water District says that a brief algae bloom at one of its source reservoir is to blame for an earthy taste that some customers have been noticing. The supply serves about 62,000 customers in and around Concord, and the district says the water has been treated and is safe to drink, and that earthy taste should disappear any day now. They add that putting a little lemon in your water should help in the meantime.
Ridgecrest residents are still rattled this morning after one of the largest aftershocks in days hit their area. The magnitude 4.9 aftershock was reported yesterday morning in the same region where two big quakes hit last week. Now, since then, there have been thousands of aftershocks in San Bernardino and Kern counties.
It was a good jolt. It was a very good jolt. It started
jolt,
smooth,
yeah.
and then it and then it was gone.
The USGS says the probability of a 7.1 or larger quake has fallen to less than 1%.
A traffic alert for drivers in Contra Costa County this morning. A main thoroughfare in Concord is now closed for the weekend. Now, all three lanes of westbound Concord Boulevard will be closed between Galindo and Mira Vista Terrace. Now, crews there are going to be dismantling a crane that was used to rebuild an apartment complex. And those apartments had previously burned down in a fire that caused $55 million in damage. Now, ATF officials say that arson is to blame and released a video of the suspect at the site, but the case remains unsolved.
A warning this weekend for beachgoers in Half Moon Bay. Watch out for great white sharks. Pilots spotted several from the air this week, and now the Pillar Point Harbor Master says that everyone should be aware of their surroundings. For example, if you see an injured seal or sea lion, there might be a predator nearby.
And we're getting a chilling look inside a labyrinth of abandoned Nazi tunnels on the Greek island of Crete, where an Oakland-born scientist was found murdered. CBS reporter Holly Williams went inside.
This looks like it extends at least 50 yards down in that direction. And this way, you can't even see where it ends.
59-year-old Suzanne Eaton was visiting Crete for a work trip when she vanished earlier this month. It is believed that she was attacked while she was out for a run. Her body was later found dumped in the bunker. Police have taken DNA from a number of possible suspects, but so far, no arrests. Now, in addition to Suzanne Eaton's career as a molecular biologist, she was also a talented pianist and held a black belt in Taekwondo. She leaves behind a husband and two sons.
A lost and found tombstone is back in the Bay Area this morning. The 1880s tombstone was returned to Alameda County after being found 90 miles away in Stanislaus County. A man found the tombstone leaning against a telephone pole and made it his mission to find out where it came from. He discovered it belonged to a Mountain View cemetery in Piedmont.
It's an awesome feeling to have closure. It's been an interesting experience, but what's going to make me always wonder is how it got out there.
It's unclear who swiped the tombstone in the first place. However, Santos figured out it belongs to a physician who earned his medical degree in San Francisco. Historians are trying to locate any extended family members. United Airlines is canceling several thousand more flights involving a troubled Boeing aircraft. The 737 MAX has been grounded worldwide since March when its anti-stall software was implicated in two deadly crashes. Now United is extending cancellations for 3 additional months through early November. The airline says it will keep trying to book customers on alternative flights. American and Southwest have also canceled many flights with Boeing, while Boeing continues to work on a software fix.
We're getting a look at some of the deals that Amazon will offer on Prime Day. That's a 48-hour sale that begins this Monday at 3 a.m. Now, the company says they will have deals on Fire TV sticks, Echo Dots, Kindles, Ring video doorbells, and much more. That list includes 30% discounts for smart home gadgets and up to 30% off of video games and automotive items.
Watch what you say. Google may be listening. The company says that contractors review a fraction of the recordings made by customers through Google devices like Google Home and Android-based phones. Google says it's done to improve language software, but customers may occasionally be recorded even when they're not using a virtual assistant. Google's admission comes after more than 1,000 recordings were obtained by a Belgian broadcaster.
Big changes coming to the world's biggest fast food chain. Subway says it will remodel more than 10,000 locations by next year, adding some new menu options with a new look. The corporate bosses will also offer to help franchise owners who want to upgrade. And Pottery Barn is also offering something new, a special Friends-themed collection to celebrate the 25th anniversary of that TV show. This will include the infamous Apothecary Table, which had its own named episode. That's just one of 14 items to be offered starting July 30th.
It's a modern twist on a remote-controlled toy car. Now, one lucky buyer can do almost the same thing for their yacht. Take a look. This super yacht just hit the market, but what sets it apart from the rest, you can control it with an iPad. It features 5 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, and an open-air bar. It's also designed to be eco-friendly, using 14% less fuel than similar-sized yachts. The yacht's website didn't have an exact price, but experts say it's likely to be in the market for about $15 million.
And if you have plans to visit Lake Tahoe this summer, you may notice that there's less space to put your beach chair. That's because the lake is nearly full to the brim, thanks to this past winter's record snowfall. There's a massive snow melt dumping billions of gallons of water into the lake. Now, some beaches are shrinking, while others, like Speedboat Beach, have completely disappeared.
Usually, there's sand and you can kind of go play on the rocks. And there's little wooden steps that you can go down to the beach on. And now the water's all the way up to those steps.
Officials are expecting the lake to swell to its maximum capacity this weekend. And if it does, they may need to release some of that water into the Truckee River.
Okay, taking a look at the 7-day forecast. It's the heat for this weekend that makes the headlines, particularly inland. We'll be in the low to mid 90s for the next 2 days. Tri-Valley area, up around Concord, up around Santa Rosa. Everybody else, if you're near the bay, it's a couple of degrees above average today. I think you're going to really like it. We get much better going into next week. Temperatures will cool back down to average for much of this next coming week, but it's going to be a bit hot inland this weekend. That's about it.
All right, it is time now for us to call it a morning. Thank you for watching KPIX 5 News this morning.
And we'll be back here tomorrow morning at 6 o'clock.
Enjoy your Saturday.